everyone, it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today is day 16 in the Countdown to Christmas 2021 series. We're going to be making this card using some Honeybee and Lawn Fawn products. So we're going to start out with a piece of watercolor cardstock that measures 4 by 6, and I'm going to be using the Honeybee Stamps Merry Mail stamp set. You can see I have some stamps already in there. That is for my Christmas card, and I believe that was card 15. I am making it for the cards I'm sending out to people, so I'm leaving it in my MISTI because I'm nowhere near done my cards. But I needed to use the MISTI to stamp this because these are new stamps, and I knew that stamping them on watercolor cardstock, I was going to have to do it a couple times. So here I'm creating a mask for the presents that go out of the mailbox. And then I'm lining up the other two pieces. There are coordinating dies with this, but I didn't buy them. So I am actually going to be doing some masking. I could cut them out on my brother's Scan and Cut, but I wanted to make it a 1-layer card. So when you stamp and mask things, the thing that is in the front is always what you want to stamp first, then mask that off, and then stamp the pieces. So you'll see me here lining up the pieces, trying to figure out what I'm supposed to stamp first, second, and then third. And I often do this when I do masking techniques because I have to really visualize it in order not to mess up. So I'm going to stamp the presents that are inside the box first, then the flap for the mailbox, and then the mailbox itself. So you see I'm just creating some masks out of scrap paper. This was just copy paper that I had lying around in the craft room. I'm going to line up the last piece and then we are going to stamp it. So the reason that I'm stamping it onto watercolor paper is that I'm going to be doing some watercoloring with Distress ink and Distress Oxide. And I'm sorry if you can hear the wind in the background. It is extremely windy here tonight. It's kind of crazy. All of my patio furniture is blowing around out back. So I don't know if you're going to be able to hear that or the wind, but if you hear noises in the background that are not the cats, that's what it is. I'm going to stamp this down and I'm going to use the dry erase marker to help put a little bit of pressure on it. And once it's all stamped, I'm going to pull up my mask. Couldn't find my pokey tool, so this tool is my sparkle stick from Sparkle Blends. And here's where the card started to go wrong. So you can see that the images should be flush up against the left part of the mailbox, and they're kind of floating in midair. So I took my micron pen and finished them off how I thought they would look. And then I tried to decide what I wanted to do. You could definitely draw in packages, wasn't really sure. So I looked for images on the stamp set, and there is a postcard on there that I thought would look nice. So I already had some masks created, but then I'm going to have to go back and create a mask for the left side of the mailbox, actually the right side of the mailbox, so that I don't stamp that postage card or that postcard on top of it. So it was a silly mistake and it took me a lot longer because I had to create more masks. And again, this card is a product of me just pushing through because there were so many things that went wrong. So now I am stamping out that postcard. I put the mailbox mask on as well as the presents mask. And you can see it almost fully stamped, but then I just take my micron pen and go over the lines just to make sure that it all looks good. Now the mailbox looks full and it doesn't look kind of silly. So this is a Lawn Fawn stencil that I got from the mystery box, and I thought it would make some really nice snowy hills. Now the great part about this Lawn Fawn stencil is that you get the positive and the negative. So if you use the other side of the stencil, if you use the bottom, you can match up that curve to it, and then you can, if you're ink blending or if you need a mask, you can use that. So I thought I was going to use that snow. That's from that same Honeybee stamp set, the Merry Mail, but I ended up, it didn't show up with white ink, and you'll see later on the snowflakes that I didn't either. So now I'm using some Speckled Egg Distress Oxide to kind of go underneath of the mailbox. You know when it snows out and it's kind of that grayish blue sky? I thought speckled egg was the perfect color for this. I'm also going to go in and add a little bit of tumbled glass. And I think this is where I started to go wrong. I probably should have heat set my image because this ink, I felt like it bled a little bit. And you'll see that later on. And I think I used a little bit too much water on some of them, on some of the colors. So I'm just going to go in and now add some tumbled glass to that, add some water, and use a larger brush to go over the background. I use that smaller brush to go into some more of the detailed areas, and then I'm using this larger brush to kind of add a little bit of clean water to the background, and then I'm going to drop some of the tumbled glass in. The brush was kind of shedding. Kind of surprised. I thought this was a pretty good brush, but I don't know. I am no artist, I'm no painter. I really like the brush. Maybe that's why I thought it was a good brush, but it just seemed to be shedding. So I finished the sky background, just kind of went over it with both colors, mixed them. We are going to cut some of the top of that off because it is a 4x6 piece of watercolor paper, and I am doing a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 card. So we are going to cut some of that top of it off. I'm just going in, making sure that there are no harsh lines when I do my watercoloring. I do like the Inktense watercolor pencils better, but I thought I've done a bunch of that in the series, so I didn't want to use it again. So now I'm using the Lawn Fawn stamp set. I believe it's called Furry and Bright, and there's a couple really cute dachshunds in here. Now, my best friend's mom has covers for pretty much every holiday for her mailbox. So I thought this looked like I could decorate it as a cover on there. I thought that was really cute. And one of my friends has a dachshund. She unfortunately had a second one and he passed away, I believe earlier this year. But she has another dachshund, and then they just adopted another puppy. And I had her in mind when I was going through the stamp sets. I found the dogs and I'm like, this would be perfect for them for their Christmas cards. That's what I'm going to do. So instead of making the reindeer antlers look like it was a hat, because that's the image, is it looks like it's going to be a hat on the dog. So where I would stamp the antlers first and then mask the dog, and then mask those off and then stamp the dog, I decided to stamp the dog and then only use the antler part of the hat to make it look like the dog just has antlers on it, kind of like the dog in The Grinch. So inked that up and then stamped it down onto there, and it fit perfectly in there. I was actually surprised. I thought it was going to be a little bit too big. But now I'm going to use my micron pen, and excuse my head in there. The left antler didn't reach his head, so I'm just making sure that they touch. So now I'm going to start to watercolor the mailbox, and I'm using gathered twigs and walnut stain to do this. Now, I didn't leave all the coloring in because this was a lot. And again, I guess I should have heat set this. My ink was going outside of the lines. Colors were blending together. The reds that I used were just bleeding all over the place. I didn't put two colors next to each other. I was a little bit more patient this time, but still, it didn't matter. I should have maybe heat embossed it, maybe let it dry. I don't know. Again, it was another thing that just went wrong with the card. So while you guys are watching me watercolor with distress inks and distress oxides, I just wanted to let you know what's been going on. I know that the series is far behind. I should have been way ahead now. I should be almost done it, and I'm nowhere near that. I interviewed for a couple of jobs at my company. I got a new one, which is fantastic, but right now I am doing both jobs. So last night, which was Sunday, I worked until 2 a.m. from about 9, just so that I could get some stuff done, and then I worked all day today, and I still am nowhere near done. So there's some deadlines tomorrow, but I just decided I needed to get back down into the craft room. I needed to create. I needed to shut my brain off for a little bit and just enjoy the creative process, because it's been a little bit stressful. So we are getting ready to go to Disney in a little while, so that is another thing. I'm trying to finish everything up for both my old job so that I can start my new job when I come back in the next year. So I'm kind of learning the new job as well as taking care of stuff for the old job. So it's been a little bit stressful lately, and with being sick while I was on vacation, I didn't do as many videos and voiceovers as I thought I was going to do. I had videos done, I just didn't do voiceovers. So I am going to get these done. I promise there will be the 25 days of Christmas before the 25th. So that being said, there are plenty of ideas that I have for the remainder of the series. If you saw my haul videos, you saw that I got a ton of new products and I can't wait to use them. I have, like I said, a bunch of ideas for a lot of the new products. So just wanted to let you know, just in case you cared about what's going on with this series. I am enjoying it. I really love doing this series every year. I look forward to it. I always forget until it's not too late to start it, but I always forget and think, oh, I have time. And then all of a sudden it is mid-October and I should have started the series already, which is kind of crazy to think that, a series for Christmas should start before Halloween. So that's why you'll see my Halloween series and my Christmas series going at the same time. So anyway, back to the card. I am now taking some Hickory Smoke and Weathered Wood. So the Hickory Smoke is Distress Oxide, but the Weathered Wood is Distress Ink. So I didn't really see a difference between the two of them when I was watercoloring with them. You can watercolor with both. The Distress Oxide will give a little bit of a chalkier effect. So you see that I went in back with the dog and used some aged mahogany over top of him, and he kind of has a little bit of chalky feel. I will go back in with my micron pen and outline the parts that I went over just to make them black again so they don't have that chalky look to them. So the red, which is Festive Berries, that I did on kind of the sleeve for the mailbox, that bled into the grays and into the antlers. So I took a white gel pen and went over the antlers, and that pretty much fixed it. I'm going back in with some Festive Berries and adding color to the ribbon, as well as I'll add some to some of the presents. Oh, even though this card had a lot of hiccups and mistakes, I really do like the way that it's turning out. I did go back over some of the layers again and add a little bit more color, make it the right colors instead of the colors that bled into it. So if you are working on a card and things keep happening and keep messing up, don't give up on it. Put it to the side, think about it. You can pretty much always salvage a card. The other thing I wanted to talk about with this card is the mixing and matching of stamp companies. So you saw that I used Lawn Fawn stamps as well as honeybee stamps. Now, if you look at them, traditionally they're not designed to go together, and especially with the perspective. Lawn Fawn stamps are generally smaller than the honeybee stamps. So what was nice was that main image from that small stamp set fit perfectly into the mailbox. So hopefully you guys can look at your stamp sets a little bit differently, and a main image on one stamp set could become a focal point when you mix it and match it with another stamp company. So that's just kind of how I extend the life of my stamps. Now we're using a Marvy Snow Pen, which always globs out on me. I don't know, am I doing something wrong? I shake it up. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have the Marvy pen and it does that to you too. So I am adding a little bit of snow to the bottom because I realized that it didn't look right perspective wise. So I added a little bit of snow over the post and added it to the hill. But I wanted to do something a little bit differently. So I'm taking some Prisma Sparkle glitter that I've had in my stash and I've never used, going to pour it over the top of this. Now, I have no idea if this will work because I don't think I've ever really done this. Or maybe I did. Maybe I did it in one of my other cards. But I couldn't remember if it worked or not. I just thought, let's try it. Although I would have been really mad if it didn't work. So I'm going to clean up as much of the glitter as possible. I do have some of that Marvy pen on that paper. I did throw it away. I had a Swiffer cloth because there was glitter everywhere. But you can see I'm heating it up. and it's not really doing anything. So I'm continuing to heat it and heat it and heat it, and all of a sudden on the right side you start to see those little bubbles form, and it looks like little air bubbles in there. That's what you want, and that's how you know that it is heat set. And it feels like it trapped the glitter inside of it. I think that it did. I mean, a little bit of it, I tapped some excess off and a little bit came off, but I think that for the most part that glitter is trapped in that Marvy Snow Pen. So last thing I did was I took a white gel pen and added some snow falling from the sky. I tried to stamp the snow that you saw me use earlier, and it just wasn't showing up. The white gel pen wasn't really showing up on this either, unless it was over top of the image, but you could actually see little indentations from the pen in the background, so you get the idea. I'm now using my Honeybee Be Creative glue on the back of this piece of scrap green snowflake paper that I have. I probably could have used the Lawn Fawn new one that I got, and that would have looked pretty, but you wouldn't see much of it. So this is a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch red card base, as well as a 1/8 of an inch smaller green piece, and then the image I cut down to 4 by 5 1/4. I decided I needed a sentiment, so I went back through the dog stamp set that I used from Lawn Fawn, and I found Happy Holidays. I thought that was really cute. I inked it up in that same Versa Fine black onyx ink, and I just thought it looked really cute. Just a very simple sentiment. I will put something on the inside for them. So that's the card for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have questions or comments, please feel free to leave them below. If you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again real soon for another video. Bye!